Lately, I've been kind of obsessed with the future of the public affairs profession. Huge disruption, mostly by AI, but lots of other stuff. And I thought, let me get someone in who I really respect. Aaron McLoughlin is kind of an OG lobbyist in my mind, someone who really understands the inner workings of the European Union and someone who clients go to because they know he's going to get the job done. Above that, he's a sharer, right? He's a guy who's been writing a blog for years. And if you've met Aaron, you know that this is a guy who pulls no punches and he speaks only truth. I was lucky you would sit down for me for a half hour and I got the most I could out of him. And now you get to enjoy it as well. So here we go, me and Aaron.
I think you could probably cut the headcount by 50%.
Cut the headcount by 50%.
I think AI can do some of it. I think it can only do it if you actually know the process. If it hasn't got all that, and it's basically pointless.
We're already on. It's like that. We're going to have light humor, but not so much humor that people think we're unserious people. Do you agree to that?
That's good.
Okay. Aaron, you're the main lobbyist in Brussels. Yeah. I want to start by saying that this episode or this series, whatever it becomes, is not about how to use AI tools, right? There's a lot of stuff on there, a lot of stuff out there about that. It's worth learning. We'll talk about some AI tools and how they factor into what is happening, but it's more about the what is happening, right? And what will happen in the wake of something like AI, in the wake of whatever else is going on, because that's not the only thing happening that might change the profession that we share, which is public affairs. I'm not going to make it a whole Aaron McLoughlin bio because it's out there. Google him, look at his blog, it's there. Instead, I wanted to go right into something that I saw you just wrote, I think over the weekend, because we're these people who put stuff out on the weekend, because that's when people on LinkedIn actually pay attention.
That's when I have time to write.
Right, exactly. And once you write it, it has to come out. It just has to get out. If I wrote it, it's done. It has to go out now, right? I kind of think you're the same, because your cadence is whenever you effing feel like it. It's regularly irregular.
And the spirit's descending.
Exactly. So the thing you wrote is that I am optimistic about the future of public affairs, right? That's your prompt. Explain your rationale.
Okay. So I think there's a lot of, perhaps with some exaggeration, sort of doom-mongering that the Claude, ChatGPT will make everyone redundant. I don't think it's right. And I don't think it's right for some pretty basic reasons. And I think the fundamentals of what good lobbying involves, the skill set you need is, and I'll probably summarize it, the ability to communicate clearly in writing and speaking, quite rare skills. Secondly, I think the ability to understand the process, the journey your client's going through for, if it's a policy, ordinary legislation, secondary legislation, or for me, very specialized areas of regulation. So I don't think that's going to end. I think the ability to be honest to your client about their chances of success. I think the ability to also be trusted by regulators and decision makers, that doesn't end. And then the immortal skill of doing what you say you're going to do. Now, I think AI can do some of it. I think it can only do it if you actually know the process, and I'll at least protect myself, feed it with 30 plus years of precedents, decisions, processes. If you don't know that, and I've seen the output from AI, if it hasn't got all that, and it's basically pointless. It looks really convincing, but it's basically pointless. So I think if you have those skills, you have a good future. If you don't have those skills, I don't think your future's that great. And I think AI will simply just magnify that process. And the inevitable thing is change always happens. In this town more slowly than other places, but it will happen. That's why I'm optimistic. So if you have all those skills, those baselines, and if when I teach, I say if you can communicate clearly writing and speaking. You can understand the process and do what you say you're going to do. People will literally throw money at you as you walk down the street. So rare are you. And I don't, there's a bit of exaggeration there, but I think if you can do all three of those and I missed the most important, if you can be civil, if you can be pleasant, not supplicant, but just be a reasonably decent human being, I think you have a good future.
So you were saying that you don't like the fear-mongering line of thought of, we're all going to be replaced, right? Yeah. So can agree with you on that. I see that there's like a polar opposite. The other end of the spectrum is we're totally safe, they could never touch us, right? So it seems that there's a kind of, as a lobbyist, right, you'd say, well, I've got all these, so they can never replace me because all the things that you said, and I'm a lobbyist and I have those inherently, right?
Well, I don't believe inherently.
Well, you don't believe inherently, but I would say like the people have divided themselves into the camps, right? Which is, this is my observation, is that either it's coming for us and we're doomed, or we're totally safe and they can never touch us. It seems that you believe that the truth is in the middle.
Well, I live perhaps a small, fetish clique. Change is going to happen. That's, there's a historical inevitability to that. Apologies for sounding like an ex-Marxist, but so the change is going to happen. AI can provide that second brain for you so you can do deeper work, catch some decision back in 1997 that your memory didn't remember. So I think what it will provide for those who harness it, and I don't believe many people will genuinely harness it for what it can do, is if you have a bad day, your memory's not working on 200%, and if you can't actually remember what that weird precedent was on some regulatory or legislative procedure back in the summer of 1997, AI will help you on that. If, and only if, this is an important sort of caveat, if you've provided it with your model of thinking and a model of writing and a model of all those precedents. Otherwise, I think it will just give you convincing gibberish. Which perhaps does explain a lot of the policy writing in this town, but it has, I think, so I'm more optimistic. That's why I'm optimistic.
So are you optimistic? Well, here's what I think.
I'm a Sagittarian as well, so
okay.
by nature.
I'm a Libra. I don't know about my moon's rising. I never understood what that is. But I think that when I read your take on it, I would be optimistic if I were you. Right. If I had your brain and the tool, then I would say in your history of having done it, because you said, okay, the ordinary legislative procedure, everyone thinks it's 9 steps.
Yes.
But it's actually
110.
Right. And where can you read about the 110? In which
by doing.
Yes.
Doing, documenting, lessons learned, and I think the technical term is called workflow, just chunking out the workflow involved in anything you do. Right. When you do that, it's relatively easy.
Right. It's relatively easy to harness, to discover 109 or 110. 110.
Yeah, and only 6 moments in that can you actually make a difference.
Okay.
And I'm not telling your viewers what those are.
No, I mean, basically they need to buy the Aaron AI.
Well, they have to buy the book as well.
So the book, I feel like we can scale more than the book, right? This is the product launch podcast, right? So you have the luxury is that you've fed your brain or parts of it into a machine. One might say, okay, when can we buy that? How are you going to sell that? So which kind of, don't answer that question unless you want to, because, we have ideas about smart shortcuts. Not a shortcut. I mean, it's leveraging years of expertise. But I mean, you are a consultant. You work at an agency. You are going to have to redefine your relationship to a client because you're also an honest man. So you tell truth. You've always told truth, right?
I suffer from chronic Catholic guilt, Irish Catholic guilt. It's dreadful.
So you're going to tell everyone what you're doing. You're going to say, this is what, like you are now, right? And so the client that you're working with is going to have to, maybe they've known you in a certain way. You've always acted that way, right? But imagine, just scale this scenario across the whole agency client landscape. the whole relationship and who does what and where value is created is different than it was even, say, 2 months ago, right? Right.
I think so.
So what is that, how do we even begin to unpack what that means? And can you start to unpack it so I don't have to?
So I think, first of all, before I had this unhealthy relationship with Claudia, whatever I should call her or him, is I had already systemized all my work. So I have had SOPs, checklists, case studies for every legislative regulatory procedure I work on. So something which previously would have taken, say, 2 weeks, then was sort of cut down into, say, 3 days. Claude takes that and shortens the process down even, or compresses it even more. The value is the 30 years of experience and a track record of perhaps predicting what will happen next and the result and what you can do to change that result. That's the value. I haven't yet worked out how you're going to pay for an hour or what previously took 2 weeks. But I can tell you that what previously would have taken a week can now be done in a few hours.
So you're not really looking to maximize billable hours, I'm guessing. That's not going to be the model.
No.
Right? So if not that, then
I've tried
what?
success fees,
right?
but everyone always rejects,
Right.
if something is saved, which, a few billion a year, I'll just take 0.5%. They've always rejected it.
Strange that they reject that. Yeah, I've had the conversation many times as well. So I think if they're going to give it to anyone, they give it to you before they give it to us.
I'll tell you when it works out.
Yeah, happy to help with those conversations if I can take a success fee on the success fee. But I think, looking at just the dynamic between, it's almost easy with you to figure out, because I can see how it would work with you, but then if everyone has to, but I also only know one of you, and I don't know, maybe there are others who think like you, but they haven't presented themselves to the world, they don't have a blog.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, okay, maybe you know them. But
we're not all in the closet.
Do we need more than 2 hands to count them?
Probably not.
No, right. So, and if you look at the total public affairs market in Brussels, there are many, many more people than those, right? So I think it's safe to say that the agency landscape will not suddenly snap their fingers and then have those people, those profiles, right? So what do we do about that? What do you think they're gonna do about it? This is the fun part. Are they gonna, there's what you could do and what they probably will do to kind of save market share. Like, what is a move that you would make if you were an agency and you saw the Aaron McLoughlin model was the model, but you didn't have an Aaron McLoughlin, so you had to somehow compete in that market? What's the move?
I think the only viable, so if you look at other professions like law, where I came from, with Harvey coming on board, I think what will happen is, and I think this is an inevitability, is the low-hanging fruit will be taken up by general AI models, which will be made bespoke. So monitoring, reporting, and I think that's already happening. I think the high-end advisory work where there can either be modeled, and then you can model it, and either to make it easier for 1 or 2 people to do faster, more effectively, maybe some weird AI bot model could be possible. However, I can't answer it because the technology is advancing so quickly. So Claude from 2 months ago and where it is today is really different. So I think what you could do in 6 months' time is going to be a lot more. The model will change. I think different agencies have different business models. Some may be just doing focus on high-level advisory work. Some are still dependent on monitoring. I don't know how they survive, but some are actually just sort of trade association management. However, I think the challenge there is many of the trade associations can use the same tools to make their own work more effective and do it cheaper and better. Yeah. So I think change is inevitable. I don't know what the final lay of the land will be.
So I put something out recently as well. I don't know if you read it, but I'm going to recap it right here for you. My question to myself, but to anybody who was paying attention when I put it out, was what is the value proposition of an agency today versus what will it be, tomorrow, so to speak, right? And I kind of landed on three things that clients are buying from agencies. They're either buying genuine expertise, the Aaron model, right? As we've established, there are not that many like you, so it's probably not the whole market that they're coming for, right? Lots of other people are employed and they're not operating the way you are, so they must be doing something else. So what is the value proposition? What value is being created? So you have your genuine expertise, then you have the extra hands model. So there's so much to do, I can't possibly do it. Please do this highly specialized task, but also do this boring admin task because I just don't want to do. Please take my big retainer monthly, and I don't want to just do it all. You came to the pitch, you did your dance, you won out of 10 agencies. The three value propositions: genuine expertise, extra hands, I need some help doing something, and my favorite, expensive scapegoat, right? Is that I have, and for many things, it could just be that, this job is hard and I'm the client, this job is hard, and I would like to have this agency who's supposed to know what they're doing, and because I hired them and people know who they are, it is a credible excuse for me to say, yeah, they sucked, right? They came very well recommended and they did well in the pitch. How could I know that they were going to be terrible, right? December comes around, next, we're going to repitch, right?
There's many firms like that.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff works that way. Yeah. Those are three value propositions. You lean into one, you probably turn your nose up at others, but they do exist because they are business models, right? So as business models, they work. But do they work as business models in this kind of AI affected future, right? The extra hands, the expensive scapegoat, genuine expertise. How do they size up?
So I would supplement it with one. The real purpose, I think, of an agency is to bring solutions where in an organization they didn't have either the experience or the manpower or the headspace to do that. So I think I see my job is basically just trying to find a solution for someone, as long as it's politically and legally realistic. There's some caveats. I think so what you've just said, the scapegoating will continue because it's pretty hard to say I wasn't happy with the answers I was getting from my AI bot. Okay, so that will continue, and I think that's perhaps an important part of why people are brought in. I think the second pair of hands will, I think for some work, maybe. I think for events management, I don't think you actually need humans. I think for the political outreach, you still need humans. For the advisory work, some can be done, but I think the challenging thing about lobbying in particular is the decisions aren't in the public domain. All the key moments, the moments may be known, but when the decisions are made isn't known, and the people you need to speak to isn't known. It's easy enough to find out if you know who they are, and that's where the real value proposition is. Can you move the needle? Yeah. And can you coach your client to speak in a way, communicate in a way which persuades rather than offends? I think that market will perhaps increase because people will have greater headspace to do that. I think if I look at friends who work for firms, they just don't have enough headspace. They have can you sort out 100 things? Humans can only work out about 5 things at any one time. And you've got 55 files. It means nothing gets done. I think a lot of those things could perhaps be done by some clever little machine.
So if you're thinking from the perspective of the client, right? So say that it is, let's just say for the sake that it's a corporate client, it's a company. I know that your typical client has a very specific issue usually that you will solve for them, right? But let's just think broadly for now. If people want to know what those issues are, they can check you out. It's public information, right?
Fish,
chemicals, at the intersection of these two, right? So if you're running an office here in Brussels and HQ has been in touch in one way or the other, and they've said, look, we did this exercise, we have this AI transformation person, and we've decided that anything, well, first of all, it doesn't really matter where you cut, but we've figured out that we can spend 25% less externally this year on this kind of thing. We haven't spent a lot of time to understand the details of these things, but we understand that the outputs are mostly words and process-oriented, and those are AI things as far as we can get. We still don't want to know exactly how it goes in Brussels because we never did, because we still find it boring. We only want to know that it's all going to be okay and that the problems will be solved, but tell us literally no other details because it's Brussels. If it were London, we would like to visit, but Brussels, just for an hour.
The weather's too good.
Yeah, exactly, right? So they're just not caring what's happening here, which is an endemic problem. And now the head of office has to do with 25% cuts, just conservatively. And that might be externally, on the external agency spend, but maybe even on their headcount, right? Everything, they should just really, like every year they say we should be able to do more with less. Now they really mean it, right? And they can point to this AI thing. So what advice are you giving that head of office for how to manage that? Because they're also going to have to give a plan to HQ to say, here's how you can cut me without destroying my operation.
Okay.
What does the plan look like?
So my usual advice is I ask how many things they're working on, and if they're working on 55, I go, it doesn't really matter, you can't achieve that much because you just won't have headspace. So what are the key 1 or 2 things where you can actually make a difference, and focus on those? I think then you identify, so I think some systems where you may be spending a fortune monitoring, etc. If you're spending 15,000 a month on that, that's foolish. There's easier ways there's really good services out there which will do it for you. EU issue tracker, etc. gives you a really good good solution. Or you can set up you can ask Claudia, whatever you want to call her. They can do quite a lot for you. Well, they're not going to even if you hacked my system, you got hold of the 110 steps, knew the 6 moments to step in. Will you really have the time to do all those? Will you be trusted to make those phone calls? So that's why I perhaps feel a little more comfortable at the moment that AI's voiceovers don't yet seem they can have a conversation with
Right.
head of cabinet or director. Maybe that day will come.
So then, the head of office then wants to keep their job, right? How many people are they keeping in their employ in-house? If they've got, like, say, a normal amount of issues to deal with, and they have to still do, maybe manage a tool, but also manage these human-only interactions themselves, like.
I think you'd probably cut the headcount by 50%.
Cut the headcount by 50%. Okay, you went pretty bold there. You're going to freak people out because they're going to see this headcount by 50%.
But so the current rate of progress, do you need to go to internal trade association meetings? No.
Right.
Do you need to do meeting summaries? No. Do you need to do reports? No. So a lot of this, which takes up time, can be compressed.
Yeah.
So I think,
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I'm just telling you that I think everyone's been scared to put a number on it. He just did, which is, okay. I told you all he tells the truth, right? So if Aaron is saying that might happen, you might want to maybe consider that as a possibility.
Feel the love coming on. You can get rid of that bit.
Yeah. And so you're cutting headcount by 50%. You're cutting your external spend, or maybe you're not cutting. Maybe you're increasing your external spend.
No, I think you'll probably cut it as well.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Can you put a percentage on that? I mean, it's kind of hard to
say.
Probably
30%. Yeah. But look, these things are already happening.
Yeah. Tell me, so let's end on that. How far are we, and how aware are we of how far we are?
So these changes are already happening. Anything that can be outsourced to lower, let's pretentiously call it, and they're not, but lower cost providers who can do monitoring a lot of the baseline, or trade associations, and they're providing as well. Someone will go, I don't need this, this, and this, which used to be the baseline provision. I just need to know what is happening, higher in the non-public domain. I need someone who can make those phone calls to see where that is. That is what I will pay. And they will pay more for it.
Yeah.
But I've already, there's several times that's already happened.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's already happening.
So it's already happening. The correction is happening. It will continue to correct itself.
It will just speed up.
Just speed up.
Yeah.
And then for every, it's almost like, dog years type idea. Like it's every month in AI years is like, how many years before?
We should do this in 6 months' time. I think you will see.
Oh my gosh, we should come back. Will you come back in 6 months?
Yeah. But I think the change and the speed of change, and the growth in profitability of those who deploy it in a joined up way, that's the real measure of success. Like none of us do this as a sort of charitable work, so you have to get paid, and the business has to make a profit. And I think I'm a great believer in the 80-20 principle, and I think that curve will benefit a few and not the many.
Yeah.
But strangely enough, when this happened to blue-collar workers, we never complained. And I just think it's going to happen to white-collar workers, and that's all that's going to happen.
Our time has come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, positive note. All right, but honest as always. Thanks, Aaron.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. We did the fly in my nose. It can happen. Cut that out. I guess we're not serious. I think I swallowed it too. And there's no water because he has the only water in the whole thing. So, yeah, it's just an interlude. That's going to be for the bloopers, right? Are you on board for bloopers? Are we doing? Okay. He has to sign.